I will be ghosting the guy I'm in love with and I am so angry at him for making me do this. I told myself before I even knew he existed that this would be my last attempt at dating anyone, that if it didn't work out, I was fine being on my own and I'd just be done with dating. I don't need someone to feel happy or complete. I have enough in my life that's made me pretty damn content with things, but it's nice to have someone to share those things with, and I for sure thought he was the guy I was going to be sharing that with indefinitely. After being single for about 3 years, I got back into dating. The first one that went past talking was a busy. I met Ben on a dating app and we had a conversation and then we went radio silent for over a month, but once we got back in contact in November of last year, we never went more than a couple days without speaking. We would FaceTime for hours. We're both single parents with neurodivergent children. Ben and I had very open and honest communication that up until now was maintained. My kids and family love him. His son loves me and my kids. From the time we started talking and then dating, everything has been amazing. He was always telling me how much he loves and appreciates me, he'll cook me dinner and do the dishes after, cuddle whenever I want, and always wants to talk to me about anything and everything. When I talk to him, he listens and sympathizes and supports me. He never once has talked down to me or insulted me. Which is why, when he told me he was going to be driving up to New York City to pick a friend from the UK that I had never heard of and go on a several months long road trip with her, culminating in him then moving to the UK for schooling, I was floored. It was midnight and we were in my car driving to his parents' house when he told me this. It was in the middle of nowhere and we were going there to pick up tools to put my furniture together. So, I basically shut down and didn't acknowledge anything he said with anything more than you need to do what's right for you and I need to do what's right for me. In my head, I'd already decided we were over and I was in survival mode. I just had to get through the next couple of days and then I'd just slow fade on him while he has his road trip with a random female friend I had conveniently never heard of before this, and then once he officially left, I could finally just completely block him everywhere. But he spent the next 2 days talking about the whole thing in a way that just infuriated me and was honestly so insulting. He kept saying he had to do this because he really wanted to go out and explore and see the world, which yeah I get and completely related to, but we're single parents. It's not practical nor responsible to just up and leave your kids to go jaunt around the country for funsies without a care in the world. We are responsible for the lives we created and he's just up and leaving his son because he has to go do this with his friend, he can't wait and do this with his son as a bonding experience between the two of them. He told me he wasn't doing this to sleep with other people, which in my experience is something someone says when that's exactly why they're doing it. And the knowledge that he's going on this trip with some woman he's never told me about, having what he thinks are going to be life-changing experiences with her, and not his son or me or anyone close to him, is just mind-blowingly selfish and immature. I will say I'm not particularly hurt. I cried for about 5 minutes when I was alone, and then the rage and disappointment set in. I really don't understand how he thought he could make such a unilateral decision that would impact our relationship and my children's and his son's lives, and it would be totally fine with me, and I'd just smile and nod along like this whole thing wasn't completely bag of cats crazy. Like, he kept assuring me that he would fly back from the UK every few months to visit, as if that would be totally fine, and I'd just go along with it because it's totally normal for the guy you're dating to abandon you and your children and his own child to go on a road trip with a random woman before moving to another country with her for an indefinite amount of time. I say this with all the sincerity in the world, what the absolute fuck. And now my kids are going to be devastated that they won't get to see someone they absolutely adore and we won't get to see his son anymore. We love his son. I'm heartbroken I won't get to see that sweet little boy anymore. Seriously, why the fuck did he have to be such a shithead? He left the day before yesterday for New York City and sent me a screenshot of where he was on his trip. I sent back a gif of David Rose saying take care while shutting the door and rolling his eyes. I am beyond done with him, but I'm just mad. I can't get over how mad I feel. Like, burn the world to the ground angry. The fact that I'm aware of his existence at all is insulting to me on a molecular level. I hope he has the road trip he deserves, and I hope I never see him again. Fuck you, Ben. Edit. His son lives with his bio mom. They live 5 hours away round trip, so it's not feasible to have visitation with him. Also, Ben is still texting me. He and the UK lady split up to do different things because they couldn't agree on how to spend their time. That was quick. I haven't responded and don't plan to. A very petty part of me wants him to keep texting so I can have a front row seat to the shit show this will be. Anyway, I'm off to go to my oldest school open house. I've already made plans to go stay at my brother's if he tries to come here on the way back. Edit 2. Yeah, he's oblivious to it being over. Kind of like I was oblivious to the fact that he's been planning to move to another continent. Every single person who's concerned for how he feels is more than welcome to try to get in touch with him and tell him that I'm the one who's a callous twatbag. Seriously, I'm not concerned with how he feels. He wasn't concerned with how I felt, but how guilty he felt for keeping me in the dark. That's the only reason he told me. Anyway. Semi-disclosure because I'm not a complete asshole, but we both suffer from mental illness, which I will not be giving specifics about, but will say we are both properly medicated. I've considered the possibility of this being a mental breakdown, but he had been planning on moving for the entire time we were dating, out of his house, not the UK, and no, he wasn't giving away any of his stuff. And if this were a mental breakdown, I would still be ghosting because the last time I was near someone who had a mental breakdown, they threatened to kill themselves with a shotgun on front of me and then aimed it at me, so maybe I want to avoid a repeat. I'm not changing my mind about the ghosting. None of his explanations would make this better. If he had been planning this long term, then he lied by omission and strung me along. He doesn't deserve any type of leniency, and I don't feel like catering to the feelings of yet another man who doesn't give a shit about mine. If any of you feel like he deserves a second chance, feel free to reach out to him at 1800 Imitwood, maybe he'll take you to see the Grand Canyon. Story 2. My husband passed away 3 months ago, I was relieved of that. He abused me financially, mentally and even physically. When I got pregnant, he convinced me to quit my job, saying that he would take care of me. I could never buy anything again without asking his permission. I couldn't even buy a cream without asking his permission, and he decided if I could or not, even months ago, that I had a little money of my own, I had to ask him for permission to buy something. What was mine was theirs and theirs was theirs. But I stayed there because I still loved him and I didn't have a place to go. I had too low self-esteem and let myself be stepped on. When I stopped loving him, he had already had his first affair. He made me believe that I was to blame for the affair because I didn't wanted to have sex months after my birth that left me torn and I had to receive stitches. I was already planning my exit and saving money little by little while I was working selling things from home. Since he wouldn't let me work outside because he was very jealous, I wanted to pay for a lawyer. He was having another affair with a friend of his which luckily kept him busier, and I didn't care anymore that he didn't pay attention to me. I wanted him to stay as far away as possible. I knew that man and he knew me. I could have made a big fuss, but I didn't. I kept quiet, planning my way out while he and that man slept together in secret. I only felt disgusted by my husband, nothing more. But my husband died in a way I never would have expected. He is now a martyr. When someone dies, all the sins of that person disappear. Because that's what even my family thinks. Those who knew about his affair and how he manipulated me are now talking about how good man he was, and we shouldn't insult someone who's dead. Everyone around me talks about how beautiful our relationship was. His family talks about what a great man he was and how always he focused on giving everything to me and our kid. His affair partner hugged me at the funeral, saying that my husband loved me. His friends told me what a great person he was. Everyone talks about how good but he was and how he is now an angel in heaven. And I have to pretend to be sad. The day he died I cried a lot, but not out of sadness. I cried with relief and I felt free. It would have taken me too many years to save to pay for lawyers with my little store without him, realizing that I was keeping money in secret. He would have kept everything. He would have made my life a hell, and I know it because he had told me so every time I stood for myself. But now I have the house, I have everything, I have the monthly money for being a widow, I have my children totally with me. I have started a psychologist. Everyone thinks that I do it to cope with my grief, but no, it is to overcome the abuse I suffered from him. It was really hard to pretend being sad in the funeral, but I did it for my child. I did it because now everything is over and I'm free. If I made a fuss, my ex-mill would have done something so that I wouldn't keep anything. They were just like him. But now I'm just a sad widow who needs help in their eyes, the silly widow who didn't know anything, but that's helping me to be free and have what I deserve. Sorry for the bad English, I used the traductor for many parts. Edit. We are not from an Islamic country, and here same-sex couples can live and marry freely. He just cheated on me with a man like he cheated on me with a woman. I guess he was bisexual. Relevant comments. I'm happy for you. You're free. I hope you live the rest of your life in peace. I'd sell that house and move far far away from his family. Yeah, I could totally lean into it and say how she needs a fresh start cause being close to them reminds her of her grief and her amazing husband. Yes, be completely free of everything and everyone. Go far away and continue in bliss. No more acting sad. Thank you for watching this video. For more content like this, subscribe. I post stories like this from across the internet.